Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning to the ones that are following us through the internet. It is truly a blessing to be here. The new faces that I see, hi, how you doing? I really would like to have this conversation sitting down there, maybe in the round circle so we can get together, but it's not possible because of the internet. But I was thinking to myself, I'm going to confess something. I forgot that I have a lecture today. And I says like, oh my God, I need to put something together, a few like PowerPoints, or maybe to gather my thoughts so we can probably share some ideas about this way that we are trying to go, the truth that we are trying to find so life can be in abundance to each and every one of us. It's been a while, a couple of centuries, maybe millennia, that we're trying to find the best way for us to be in. It's very natural, maybe the conflicts, the problems that we are facing nowadays because the world is in turmoil. That's right. We see polarities, we see fights. Even in the beginning of the 21st century, we see fights that we never thought these fights were occurring nowadays. And for the young children, the young boys and girls, because one day I was just like you guys, full of imagination, full of hope, full of joy. It looks like a sad statement that I'm bringing to you, but it's not. This morning I woke up and I was making a comment with Andrea. I woke up with a little anguish in my heart. And I says like, I have all the blessings. I have a family, I have a shelter, I have a home, I have food in my plate, I have friends. I have the Spirit Center that brings me so much joy, at least teachings, so I can simply follow these teachings just like the roadmap, this roadmap for redemption, the redemption of the self, because the ego plays so much part inside of our hearts. It's been millennia, it's been centuries that we are going through many positions in life, trying to put ourselves in a pedestal and bringing the persona, the personalities that we have, maybe occupying posts, positions of command, being a battle between battles outside, maybe generals, maybe queens and kings, maybe pleasant, so many positions. But at the end, what exactly we have acquired for the self to be arise and proclaim a new era in the life of a spirit. I try to find myself, and maybe this morning I was in a very profound anguish. Well, two reasons. One, because I didn't realize I have a lecture today. It says like, what kind of deliverance I'm going to give it to you guys. But other is, have I found a way to my pathway of redemption? I remember Paul of Tarsus. For the youngs that don't know who is Paul of Tarsus, he was one of the great disseminators of spiritism. Christianity over 2,000 years ago. And he was someone different before getting into that road, that way, that lead us actually to kill someone that he was antagonist, Ananias. And that road, going in that road, in that way, he found redemption. The way that he found a different kind of truth. Not a truth that many of us are having now, with all the battles and all the fights that we still have within. but a fight that needs to free ourselves for a different kind of life. A life to be free. When I say free, I'm not talking about the free that many of us, especially in the political games, in the political parties, all this freedom that actually are going to free the flesh, the spirit from the flesh, from this constant movement to be reincarnated so we learn something. Just like the question 132 of the Spirit's book. What's the reason, what is the meaning of incarnation? To evolve, to progress, to find the way, to find the truth, and to find the life. But not the life that constrained all of us in this flesh. A life that opens up a door of the heart. A door that brings us hope. Not a temporary hope, but a hope that brings us a complete confidence in the future. Confidence in the Creator. A Creator that it's not put in the cross. A Creator that don't belong to one specific religion. A Creator that creates the whole universe. That creates a law that rules and regulates each and every single one in the micro and in the macro. The law of love. Even the love that we don't understand, because the love that we understand, that we think, when we can grasp at this level of evolution that we are, it's sensorial. We like the love that people that like us, okay, we like them too. People that love us, yes, we love them too. People we have like attraction, we attract from them too. But I'm talking about a kind of love that it's yet to be developed inside of our hearts. But we need to find first a road map, a way, so we can follow little by little with a lot of discipline. I'm not talking about constrangement. I'm talking about discipline. Discipline to see and to make an examination within. What is our frailties? What we have to correct. Little things, small things. And this only are going to be visual to us, putting the ego aside and bringing the self to the picture if we truly examine ourselves, how we behave when we face obstacles. When we face someone that don't agree with us, when we face in our relationships, what exactly is our part in this kind of possibility to learn how to love a little bit. I put a few slides here. I put the way not with capital letter, a way that we still are in. A way that we try to find position, money, intellectual acquisitions. You guys are forgiving my English, sometimes in Portuguese it's way much better. But in English, we feel like sometimes we got the brakes are putting on and it's difficult to express ourselves. But the young friends, brothers and sisters, I think they understand me. Because this way that we are trying to find the way of happiness, true happiness, not the sensorial happiness, the true happiness, it's about to be achieved. About to be achieved? When this is going to be? Today, tomorrow? It's going to take a little time, but we can find joy and happiness in every single moment of our lives. Even if it's a small happiness, joy, because we all are wearing clothes. We all are under shelter, a roof. We all have food. We all have schools to attend. We all have families. It doesn't matter what kind of family we have. but we have a family. And if we compare ourselves with others, maybe the rest of the population, the human population, that doesn't have all of these possibilities, we might think, why all these kind of diversity, all these kinds of anomalies? Why all so much differences in the world? And we're going to see. And because of the Spiritist teachings, we understand that the school of redemption, this way to find the real self and to find the real truth, so one day we can be happy, it takes time, many lives, and we are going to face the consequences of our actions. And that's why in this beautiful school that we call Planet Earth, there's like many classes. Classes in Africa, classes in the United States of America, in Brazil, in China, in Russia, in all the countries in the world. So we're going to face a possibility to make this examination. So one day, no more reincarnations to the self, to the spirit, and we understand, and we're going to acquire. Actually, not acquire. We're just going to be just like the Paul of Tarsus, putting ourselves in the road of Damascus and finding not the Christ that creates any religion, because Christ didn't create any religion. Christ simply wants us to be brothers and sisters, loving one another in a much different way. But Constantine, the emperor, came over here 300 years before the Christian, after the Christian era, and he established that the Christianity would be the religion of the state. And that became the confusion, because all the egos, all the power, all the positions that actually put someone in the pedestal took place. And we are doing exactly the same nowadays. That's why looking for this way, so we can actually find a different kind of truth. Not the truth that we're being spread by all the emperors and all the priests and all the religious men. A different kind of truth. A truth that can show us that we are about to be free every day, learning how to build this freedom. And then we can have the life, a different kind of life, even if we are struggling in nowadays. I remember the message that Yuri brought us when Joanna de Angelis, a spirit, mentioned about optimism. Optimism. Sometimes we get in a crossroad of our lives, trying to see what's the best way for me to take. What is the best road for me to walk? What kind of truth I'm trying to perceiving? What kind of truth is my truth? The truth that we are trying to find, the truth that we are trying to acquire and interiorize. Maybe this word doesn't exist. Putting in within this truth, internalize, thank you. Internalize the truth is the love that Christ once proclaimed and still proclaiming to our ears, trying to understand exactly the real meaning for all of us. There's a peace understood by Christ, that it's completely different by the peace that we understand, with money in the bank, no wars outside, but sometimes the wars are here inside of our hearts. So there's a huge difference of the peace of the world and the peace that Christ is offering us since the beginning. There comes a moment in our lives where we question if everything we have sought in life externally offer us the peace we hope within. This is a question that we have to ask every single day when we wake up have a cup of coffee for the ones that like coffee, or whatever the food you want to have in the morning. But try to make this reflection. Today is another day. Today I have the chance to change my day, not my life yet, my day, because this is made, the life that we are wishing to have, it's not going to be like this. It's going to be built with patience, with tolerance, with sincerity, with discipline, internal discipline, so we can face something very complicated. It's not outside what we are going to face. We're going to face our interior, our tectonic plates. They're still trying to accommodate in this heart full of troubles, because it brings the passages, the moments, the situations, the circumstances of the past that arise in this present moment of our existence. And we're going to try to, we have to face all of this. We have to face the man from the past, the woman from the past, and try to envision something way much bigger, so we can have a way to keep going, a truth with capital T, different than the truth that we're trying to find, so we can have life with capital L, life in abundance. I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about position. I'm not talking about external beauty. I'm talking about love. I'm talking about belonging to something much bigger than we understand. I'm talking about children of God, not the God that we've been proclaiming and creating during the course of centuries, putting a promised people, because the whole universe, the whole planet Earth are the promise, are the dear children of this God. In the book, Reports from Beyond the Grave, by mediumship of Chico Xavier, dictated by a spirit, Umberto de Campos, on chapter 5, there's one passage, one chapter that I really would like to read and make a few comments to you, because it might be the story of each and every one of us. And this guy by the name Emiliano Jardin is maybe just like one of us. Umberto de Campos, the spirit, brought to this medium, Chico Xavier, this story. Deep down, Emiliano Jardin was a generous, very generous man, sincere man, but very materialistic. Notion spoiled his thoughts, and in vain, Umberto de Campos mentioned that his friends tried to renew Emiliano Jardin's ideas. Emiliano, however, resorted to several theories of denial, and that spiritual illness continued in the same way, and in a certain way, grew worse. His marriage, although happy and full, did not improve his situation in any way. It was then, however, that Emiliano experienced the first pain of fatherhood when he saw his son taken away by death. And this shook his personalistic spirit in a very intense way. Just at that time, a generous priest, a Catholic priest, gave him a book of religious consolation for immediate help. Then contact with the teachings of Jesus filled his soul with a serene sweetness. Emiliano was amazed. And that little book impacted his life in such a way, in a positive way. How could he not have understood the beauty of the faith before? He then became a Catholic to the general applause of his friends. Emiliano, however, although seduced by Master's luminous truth, brought back his strong and materialistic personality. Believing he was serving the divine ideal of the gospel, he armed himself against all those who understood Jesus differently. He accused Protestants. He accused Spiritists. He accused everyone that thinks differently than him. Humberto de Campos, the Spirit, says that the years passed in the silent wisdom of the time, but worn out by the disillusionment of every man who seeks happiness, far self-redemption, and dissatisfying with Catholicism, our friend converted to Protestantism. Despite his companions' efforts, Emiliano's attempts to embody the inner vision of Christ as the divine friend of all moments proved challenging. He became religiously aggressive and rude, often attacking others. In the process, he forgot the blessings he received from Catholic Church and the valuable lessons from Protestantism. While some less vigilant friends praised his courage, more experienced one recognized that his outward religious expressions had changed. Still, his heart had not truly embraced Jesus. After a prolonged struggle, Emiliano became dissatisfied and joined the Spiritist movement. Despite accepting the truth of reincarnation, communicability between planes of life, the plurality of inhabited worlds, and other spirits' beliefs, he continued to seek immediate benefits. Although he dedicated himself to Jesus and longed to see him in others, preceding the acknowledgement of Christ within himself, Emiliano ultimately found himself facing his former companions, Catholics and Protestants, with weapons in hand. He believed it necessary to defend the new teachings to the extreme. Emiliano received praise for spiritual guides and mediumistic meetings, perceiving it as a validation for his actions. However, despite his knowledge and divine warnings, he eventually faced the inevitable task of redeeming his past debts, other lives. Challenges arose and unexpected difficulties emerged as he struggled to overcome some obstacles. Initially resilient, Emiliano eventually despaired, feeling abandoned by his spiritual friends and accusing the mediums of no longer offering solution to his personal challenges. He felt persecuted by evil spirits, and in his discontent, he hurt his dear and respectable companions. The pain, however, did not interrupt his purifying function. After painful illness, his mother left for the spiritual life in bitter conditions. Not long after, his wife, who had been mentally disturbed for 3 years, followed the same path. Soon, the 2 children he had raised with excessive affection turned against his father's heart with unjust accusations. His last companion then fled. Our friend Emiliano Jardim, who had previously been so belligerent and violent, experienced an invincible discouragement. He was never seen again at the Spirit Center. He was often found walking the streets, hiding tears that insisted in falling. And it was on Christmas Christmas Eve that Emiliano cried more than usual and decided to end his life. At night, he headed for the beach, entertaining the sad idea of suicide. However, before committing this extreme mistake, he thought of Jesus, who had restored sight to the blind, cured the lepers, and loved the poor and the helpless. How long had it been since he had thought of Jesus? These memories became a balm to Emiliano, changing his most intimate disposition. Then, in that bitter hour, a gentle voice was heard in the depths of his soul. And this voice was saying maybe what it must be saying to many of us in certain and specific moments of our crossroads in our lives, in this way to redemption. I'm going to read the voice that Emiliano heard in his mind, and maybe this voice, it's echoing in our hearts, inside of our minds, for long ago. Emiliano, how long have I sought to find you, but you always call me through others, without ever seeking me within yourself. Give me your pain, Emiliano. Lay your weary head on my heart. My power often works in human weakness. My disciples rarely enjoy the divine encounter outside the chambers of suffering. It is almost always necessary for them to lose everything to find me, Jesus, within themselves. I have, Emiliano, a sanctuary in every heart of the earth. Every heart of the earth. There's no chosen people. The whole humanity are children of God. But man and woman fills this divine temple with rubbish or build walls on incomprehension between his work and my serene, patient, loving influence. In these circumstances, they seek me, Emiliano, in vain. Emiliano was so impressed with joy. He was about to commit suicide, but because of that thought, he connected with the divine, and this voice appears, echoes in his mind. And this voice was not exactly the voice that you guys are listening to me, coming out of my mouth, going to your ears, with something inside his head. The voice keeps saying to Emiliano, return to your daily effort, and do not forget, Emiliano, that I will be with my sincere disciples until the end of time. Do not rebel against the suffering that purifies. Never analyze without loving. Never analyze without loving. Remember that when you criticize your brother, when you criticize your sister, I will also be criticized, because I have not yet finished my work on the face of the earth. Return good for evil. Always forgive. Return your efforts. In any honest job, you will be able to hear my voice if you look for me in your hearts. In your heart. Emiliano now was different, because trying to find a way outside, going from one religion to another religion, but without finding the truth that belongs to each and every one, that needs to be thoroughly examined, maybe that's not the word, yeah? Makes sense? Makes sense. Thoroughly examined within, we're not going to find the life that we expect. Because even though we are facing to a lot of struggles, and I see the young boys and girls that attend to our meetings, and of course, hormones play a big role in this thing, because in this process of growing, sometimes we find ourselves in a lot of confusion and trying to see what is the best way for us to go. And make peace with you. Be patient with you. Be tolerant with you. When I say be patient, be tolerant, I'm not talking about of indiscipline, because we need discipline, inner discipline, so we can constrain maybe the lion that still resides inside of our hearts and bring the little cat, loving, a little trouble, jumping from one place to another, but a lot whole different from the lion that still resides inside of our hearts. And then we are going to find a different joy, maybe listening to the voice that it's still echoing inside of our minds and our hearts, that it still plays a role if we understand that we are all destined to be children of God, because we are children of God. And this life will be a different kind of life. Peace I leave with you, said Christ in the Gospel of John. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. It's a different kind of peace. And this is going to be acquired little by little. On the book, Dimensions of the Truth, on chapter, right in the beginning, the prologue, I guess was the first words of Joanna de Angelis, the spirit guide that gave the message through the mediumship of Divaldo Franco, brought us a little story. It says, like Joanna, according to an old story, during one of Paul and Barnabas, the two disciples, the two are trying to disseminate Christianity in 2,000 years ago, they were the early missionaries. In one of the missionaries' trip, they were talking about, inside of a cave, about the treasures of life left by Christ, this Prince of Peace. But at the same time, inside of this cave, two teeth were listening to the story. And they thought, oh my God, they have a treasure. They have a map. So we can go, let's rob them and get this treasure and this map. And that's the way they did. They robbed Paul and Barnabas. They got the map. But the map was a little passages of this truth, this life, with the sayings of Christ, when he says, I am the door, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life, I am the bread of life, I am the living water, the good shepherd, the vine. You are now pointing to each and every one. I'm trying to see, because the two teeth were getting that roadmap for acquisitions, that it's not the destination of each and every one of us. And might be not understanding exactly this roadmap to find the treasure that one day, not one day, because every day we can find a small treasure in the joy of relationships, in the joy of the struggles sometimes that we have, because struggles and obstacles are not something that God don't like us. These are opportunities for us to exercise our intellectual possibilities, our morals, our emotions. How can I going to behave in this situation? I can be the same general, soldier, fighter from the past, or I can be someone gentle. I can be someone more tolerant. I can be someone more loving. And reminding Paul of Tarsus, when at the end, about to be killed, he mentioned, I fought the good fight, the fight within. I finished the race of this way that shows him the truth. I kept the faith in the divinity, the faith that one day all these treasures of heaven are going to be not outside, but it's going to be inside of the heart of men and women. And we are going to change the face of the earth. But we're going to change first the face of this earth here inside of our hearts, because outside will be the result of each man and woman's heart. We have a great mission ahead of us, in our hands. And it's up to you, and it's up to us, especially the youngsters, especially to you, to make a difference, to find a different kind of way, to find a different truth, so you can have life in abundance. Much peace to you, and God bless you.